Alright everyone, my apologies if I sound odd or keep these videos quite short. My throat is extremely sore today because of the pollen count. I do have allergies. This time of year, the pine trees start fucking each other. Everything goes to hell for a few days till my body acclimates to it for the year. But we got to talk about some polling. Link in the description, archived of course. Biden in national polling. You see this spoken of by liberals all the time. They're hopeful. They're getting their hopes up. They talk about, well, all these candidates are like tied or ahead of Trump, and Biden's like, way out ahead by like 6 or 7 points in aggregated national polling. But then you look at on the ground at certain states and you see a vastly different issue. What's happened is that Biden has the Clinton effect all over again, which is that he's would crush Trump in a blue state, have a lot of popular voting going on. But in some of these states that need to be targeted by the Democrats to have any possibility of winning, Michigan and Wisconsin are the two in here, they're tied. So Trump's already tied with Biden in two traditionally fairly blue states that it doesn't make any sense for Biden or the Democrats to be happy about that sort of result. He needs to work harder in the Rust Belt or he has no chance at all. And, let's face it, Biden is probably going to be the nominee. And if Sanders is, which would be the second best guess, I think that he would lose too. Biden would lose the election without huge amounts of effort or some, crushing debate victories or something like that. Trump is probably going to outraise and outspend his opponent this time around, which gives him a distinct advantage. He's got a huge grassroots network already. Biden would have to make up lost time. But I mean, the national polls never matter. It's like head-to-head polls always showed Hillary Clinton ahead of Trump. I think there were like 2 polls in the whole 2016 election that ever showed Trump ahead by like a point or two. Everything else is like Hillary by 5, Hillary by 10. Hillary was way out ahead. I think the aggregate was 4 points towards the end, like on election day. But it doesn't matter if you win the national vote. What matters is if you win in enough states to cobble together the electoral vote. Trump realized this, targeted some vulnerable leaning blue states that nobody thought he could win, and he won most of them. Now he's talking about going after Minnesota, retaking, I think, Virginia, New Hampshire, expanding the electoral map. Yeah, he could do that. It's possible because the other thing is the race will tighten in Trump's favor almost certainly before Election Day. The matchup polling is not going to look the same. Trump is likely to gain support towards the end of the election, not lose it. It could happen in the other direction, but I wouldn't expect it. If that happens, it would drag him. Certainly, he'd be several points ahead in Michigan and Wisconsin. If he takes those two, he almost certainly wins re-election. There's not a whole lot the Democrats can do to retake that amount of electoral points. Michigan and Wisconsin are important states. States they took for granted to the point where Clinton never even campaigned in Wisconsin. She never visited the state. Big fucking mistake. It was her fault. Biden's even older and more wishy-washy. He's not going to be able to keep up a really, really strong, really, really frenetic campaign mode. He doesn't have the energy for it. He doesn't have the stamina necessary. At his age, he doesn't have the stamina necessary to go to 5 or 6 rallies a day like Trump sometimes appears to do. He certainly can't get a crowd whipped up as much. He doesn't have the online sort of grassroots support. He won't have as much money as Trump has, probably, for most of the race. He's got every disadvantage in the book, and think he's one of the stronger Democratic candidates. When Democrats are like, well, Bernie Sanders can do it, or Warren, no, Warren cannot do it. Warren would fold on the debate stage when Trump brings up Rachel Dolezal or something like that. He'll take a book out of Charlemagne the Man's, a leaf out of his book, and he'll crush her, Elizabeth Warren, if that happens. But I wouldn't expect her to become the nominee. It's possible. She's sort of pulled into a strong third place. She managed to eclipse Kamala Harris. She's kind of competing with Bernie now, but, they're still sharing votes. Even if one of them drops out, the other would barely be even with Biden in the polling. He'd probably absorb half those votes anyway, so it's a moot point. It'd be funny for the Democrats. It'd be funny if the DNC got really nervous and they started having people trying to force the lower tier people to drop out. Like, it's not your turn. Fucking get out. You won't even be at the debate. Like, structuring everything to try to force half of the field to leave to try to buff up the front runners. It'd be interesting if they did that. That's about all. Peace out.